Hello everyone, welcome to Options with Doug, streaming live daily on Bookmap Discord and the Bookmap YouTube channel at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Before I get started, I need to go through the disclosures. General disclosure. All Bookmap Limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure. Trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Here's my contact information. The best way to get in touch with me is through Discord. My name on Discord is Doug P. Also on Bookmap Discord, there's an Options-Doug chat channel. That's a great place to post questions, comments, and content related to the topics of my presentation and the topics of the channel that I'll go through in just a moment. And note that Bookmap Discord is a great community. There's a wide variety of content there on asset classes, stocks, options, futures, crypto, also on a wide variety of languages. I'm also on X, formerly known as Twitter. My name there is @DougPless. And I did post the AMD setup that I talked about yesterday. I posted that in Discord and on X. If you're active on X, take a look at it. If you like it, give me a like and a follow. Here are the key tenets of my approach to trading. This is the basis of the way I trade. I believe that options trades and market maker hedging activity are key drivers of price in many stocks and futures, and certainly in the stocks that I follow, large cap tech stocks, and equity futures like the S&P 500 and NASDAQ. And for the S&P 500, SPX is the underlying index, SPY is the ETF version of that index, and ES is a derivative of SPX. And when traders buy and sell puts and calls in SPX, market makers take the opposite side of those trades and they hedge their delta exposure with ES futures. And for the NASDAQ 100, NDX is the underlying index, QQQ is the ETF version of that index, and NDX is a derivative of, NQ is a derivative of NDX. And again, when traders buy and sell puts and calls in NDX and QQQ, market makers take the opposite side of those trades and they hedge their delta exposure with NQ futures. The focus of my presentation today and the focus of the Options-Doug chat channel is options order flow, the impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and the influence of market maker hedging flow on price action. I have a two-step process for trading, and the first is planning, and I use positional analysis. I look at how traders and market makers are positioned in the options market and how those positions change from day to day to develop a thesis regarding the expected trading range and volatility for the day, as well as a directional bias. And the second step in my process is execution. I look at real-time order flow in Bookmap and real-time market maker hedging flow in Spotgamma Hero to confirm my thesis, and for setups. And when I talk about setups today, I will be focusing on an underlying asset, and setups in that asset can be taken any number of ways. For example, for the S&P 500, setups can be taken with ES futures, SPY shares, SPY options, or SPX options, or even ES options. Questions and comments are welcome, and I will be watching both the Options-Doug chat channel as well as the chat on YouTube for your questions and comments. Please feel free to post. I'll do my best to answer your questions. All right, hello Stephen, welcome, glad you're here. All right, here's my agenda for today, Wednesday, March 6th. First of all, I want to go over news items, economic data, and events for today as well as the rest of the week. Then I'll go through my positional analysis. Then I'll review some setups from earlier today. And then I'll take a look at the live market. And when I get to the live market, if anyone has any stocks they want me to take a look at, please let me know and I'll be glad to do that. All right, let's move on to economic data and events. So first of all, Jerome Powell was testifying before Congress today. And let's take a look at the reaction to that. So let's go to the S&P 500 futures. So Jerome Powell began speaking at 10 a.m. today. And there was initial move down. That might have been related to the JOLTS job openings, which was also out at 10 a.m. That was greater than expected, but lower than the previous number. So anyway, just after a few minutes, the reaction was bullish. All right, for the rest of the week, Jerome Powell is testifying before Congress again tomorrow. So one day is the House, one day is the Senate. And then on Friday is the jobs report. That's the monthly jobs report that normally comes out on the first Friday of the month. This month that has been pushed back to the second Friday of the month, which is this Friday, the 8th. All right, so that's the jobs report. Could be a market mover. All right, so it looks like we missed a good move down that started right around 1:30. And I don't. I'll check news later, see if there's any news. All right, so that is the data for today as well as the rest of the week. Again, big events. Jerome Powell testifying today and tomorrow, and jobs report on Friday. All right, let's move on to positional analysis now. So like I said, this is the ES futures, S&P 500 futures, and Bookmap. Before I take a closer look at this chart, I want to take a look at a larger time frame. I'm going to take a look at the underlying index, which is again SPX. I'm going to start with a one-day chart. This is Thinkorswim, a one-day chart for SPX, showing the current rally with this dashed purple trend line. SPX since the end of March, October 30th, has rallied over 1,000 points. All right, so that's the current situation. Rally continues with some pullbacks. Now let's, sticking with the SPX, let's take a look at a 1-hour chart. So this is a 30-day 1-hour chart. This is the top of the trend line that was on the one-day chart. And note the resistance level for SPX was right around 51.50. All right, so it looked like SPX was trying to recover from the move down yesterday, and we'll we'll take a closer look in just a minute. All right, so let's take a look. Oh, that was an alert for the hero alert. All right, let's take a look at the levels on this chart. So first of all, the dashed purple lines are showing the lower and upper weekly expected move. That's based on the options market. I update that once a week, and those levels remain in place for the entire week. So that's based on the closing price on Friday for SPX. And note that yesterday SPX did trade below that lower weekly expected move, and the lower daily expected move as well. All right, so this is the lower daily expected move. This is for today. Also based on the options market, based on the closing price yesterday afternoon. And note that I post these levels in Bookmap Discord in the Options-Jug Chat channel sometime the evening before. So I posted these numbers yesterday evening. Again, the weekly expected move based on the closing price Friday, daily expected move based on the closing price yesterday. All right, the other lines on this chart are Spotgamma levels. I want to highlight the key daily levels. So these are levels that are provided to Spotgamma subscribers based on gamma weighted open interest. I'm going to highlight again the key daily levels. So first of all, the 5,000 level. That is the absolute gamma strike. That's a strike where the largest absolute positive and negative gamma. That's where most of the gamma weighted open interest is concentrated. And the next level up is the put wall. That's at 5,040 PW there. That's a strike with the largest net negative gamma that can be expected to act as support. And note that level did move up yesterday from 4,800 now up to 5,040. So again, that's the potential floor for price, strike with largest net negative gamma. And above that is the volatility trigger. That's at 5,095. That's VT there. And that is Spotgamma's proprietary volatility flip level. Below that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is negative. In a negative gamma environment, market makers have to trade with price to hedge their delta exposure, and that tends to enhance or increase volatility when market makers are trading with price. Above that level, like SPX is trading now, market makers' position on the gamma curve is positive. In a positive gamma environment, market makers have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure, and that tends to subdue or decrease volatility. And then finally, the call wall is at 5,200. That's a strike with largest net positive gamma that can be expected to act as resistance. All right, so the SPX levels, the only one that shifted was the put wall, shifted higher again to 5,040. So that's the potential floor for price and the potential ceiling at 5,200. All right, let's take a look at one other SPX chart. We'll go to a 1-minute chart just to get a closer look at the levels in play for today. All right, so this is looking at yesterday. This is yesterday afternoon, right around 3:30. So yesterday was a bearish day, and this is showing the reversal that happened at the end of the day. We'll take a closer look at the cause for that in just a minute. So the dark shaded portion to the right is today. So the rally began yesterday afternoon. SPX gapped up, then moved down up until just a few minutes after 10 a.m. when Jerome Powell was speaking, finding support at the 50.95 volatility trigger, more or less, just a couple of points below that. Now SPX is trading above the volatility trigger and also the upper daily expected move, and then also this key 5100 level that Spotgamma has been talking about as a somewhat of a risk on, risk off line in the sand. So now SPX back above the volatility trigger, the 5100 level, and also the upper daily expected move. All right, let's take a look at, there's a question in the Options Doug chat channel yesterday evening about the move higher at the end of the day. This is the hero signal. We'll talk more about this in a few minutes. This is for the Magnificent Seven. Whoops. Again, I'll talk more about this in just a few minutes. So this is showing options trades, market maker hedging activity for the Magnificent Seven stocks. Right around 1:30, put buyers, they took their foot off the gas. They started buying calls. When traders buy calls in stocks, market makers sell the calls, and they have to buy stock to hedge their delta exposure. And I believe that's what helped to initiate this rally yesterday afternoon, right around 3:30. Dip buyers coming in to the Mag 7 stocks. All right, so let's move on to Bookmap now. So in Bookmap, I have my own cloud notes. So I can show SPX levels. There's the 5095 volatility trigger that I was talking about. Just above that, the 5100. That Spotgamma is again risk on, risk off, line in the sand. Here's the 5115 level, acting as resistance at the open. I'll also have SPY levels on this chart. Here's the SPY 509 volatility trigger. That is just above the SPX volatility trigger. And then the SPY 510 absolute gamma strike. That's also the 0 gamma level. All right, note there is a difference in price between ES and SPX. And today it has been somewhere between 6 and 7. I'm still using 7. I think 6.5 might be more accurate. So ES minus SPX equal, let's say 6.5. I'm using 7. So I'm showing SPX 5100 at ES 5107. That ratio, that difference, that offset changes a little bit every day. I do post the numbers that I'm using, the index relationships. I post those in the Options-Doug chat channel every morning. I post the preliminary numbers and the final numbers. Sorry, I was a little bit late with the final numbers today. I had a very busy morning. All right, so support around the 5100 level. That's the ES 5100, that red line, as well as the 5095 and the 509 volatility triggers. All right, for SPY, there was 3 shifts in levels, all lower. So a bearish hat trick for SPY. The volatility trigger, put wall, and absolute gamma strike all move lower. But for both SPX and SPY, call walls remain intact. 5200 for SPX and 515 for SPY. So plenty of room to run higher up to the call walls for SPX and SPY. All right, let's take a look at NASDAQ. This is the NQ futures and Bookmap. And I'm going to, before I take a closer look at this chart, take a look at the underlying index charts. I'm going to go to QQQ first. So for QQQ, here's the volatility trigger at 437, acting as support this morning. Good launching point for long. Another entry point at 438. Note that 439 is the call wall. Maybe acting as support. Did act as a resistance earlier today. And then 440 is the absolute gamma strike. Looks like 442 right around there. Yeah, 442 was resistance earlier today. So range for QQQ from 437 to 442. All right, shifts and levels for QQQ. Volatility trigger shifted lower. Put wall shifted higher. Call wall shifted slightly lower to 439. It was 450 yesterday, so shift back down. And then the absolute gamma strike remains intact. All right, let's take a quick look at NDX. Last time I looked, not much to see there. Again, this is the rally that began yesterday afternoon. We'll take a look at those alerts in just a minute. All right, so the only level in play here is this 18,000 level for NDX. All right, let's go back to Bookmap. So really the QQQ levels definitely in play.
Iceberg ESH for CME sell 300.
All right, so just like ES, I have my own cloud notes. So I'm showing QQQ levels. There's the 437 volatility trigger, and then the 442. 442 is just a round number, not a Spotgamma level, so it's shown in yellow. There's that 18,000 level, maybe acting as support. And here's the lower weekly expected move for NQ and the upper daily expected move. So earlier today, NQ did trade above the upper daily expected move. All right, let's wrap up positional analysis. We'll take a look at some setups, then get to the live market. Looks like there's quite a bit of movement here in the live market. All right, so let's take a look at Gamma Notional. This is market maker's position on the Gamma curve at the beginning of the day for the S&P 500, NASDAQ, and Russell 2000. The reason I'm looking at this will give me a sense of how market makers may react to changes in price and applied volatility. Note for SPX, Gamma Notional was still slightly positive today. In a positive Gamma environment, this indicates that traders are short calls, market makers are long calls, hence the positive Gamma, and they have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure. So that's just mildly, that's basically neutral. And then for SPY, Gamma Notional definitely negative here. So in a negative Gamma environment, this indicates that traders are long puts, market makers are short puts, hence the negative Gamma, and they have to trade with price to hedge their delta exposure. And then for QQQ, Gamma Notional is negative also. So looking for more movement today. This is not necessarily bearish, but just looking for wider trading range. Gamma Notional shifted lower for all these instruments, the S&P 500 and NASDAQ. So again, I'm looking as these Gamma Notional numbers are shifting more negative, especially for SPY and QQQ, looking for a wider trading range, more volatility for the day. All right, so that's positional analysis. Let's move on to execution now. So everything that we've looked at so far, other than Bookmap, is based on static data. Updated once a day, Spotgamma takes open interest data. They apply their algorithms to come up with the levels that we were looking at on the charts. So now let's move on to real-time data, move on to execution. So I'm going to start by taking a look at what options traders are doing. So this is the HIRO signal, Hedging Impact Real-Time Options, HIRO. This is provided to Spotgamma subscribers. What this chart is showing is options trades and market maker hedging activity for a combined signal of SPX, SPY, XSP, and ES futures, all into one combined signal. So if you trade any form of the S&P 500, this is what you want to take a look at. There are two lines on this chart. The first, the white line, is showing price for SPX, and the purple line is the HIRO signal. So again, showing options trades and market maker hedging activity for all those different versions of the S&P 500. A rising HIRO signal indicates traders are taking positive delta positions. They're buying calls and or selling puts. And a falling HIRO signal indicates they're taking negative delta positions. They're buying puts and or selling calls. Market makers take the opposite side of that. So with a rising HIRO signal, they have to buy futures to hedge their delta exposure. And with a falling HIRO signal, they are selling futures to hedge their delta exposure. All right, so let's zoom in. Go full screen on this chart. So initially there was a move down. All right, Slow to Risey asked about New York Community Bank and KRA. I certainly don't have those in Bookmap. We can take a look and see if they're in Hero when I get to the live market in just a few minutes. So yeah, I'll try and do that. All right, so initial move down. Jerome Powell started speaking. Options traders like what they heard, start taking positive delta positions, and price moves higher. Let's take a closer look and see exactly what traders are doing. We can separate out puts and calls. Note I'm going to have to jump to another signal and then jump back to avoid the auto zoom. All right, so let's see what was happening just after 10 a.m. All right, so the blue line is showing puts. A falling blue line indicates traders are buying puts. Initially, the call line was falling also. Traders were selling calls. So just after 10 a.m., the put buyers take their foot off the gas. They actually start selling puts for looks like about 30, 40, 45 minutes maybe. 40, 50 minutes. And also they start buying calls. So the key point here is the put buyers take their foot off the gas and they start buying calls. So they take their foot off the gas, put buyers take their foot off the gas a little bit before 10:10, and then the call buyers come in just about 5 minutes later and price starts moving higher. So separating out puts and calls here provides more clarity about what traders are doing. So let's go back to the SP 500, ES futures. Let's zoom in. So Jerome Powell began speaking 10 a.m. Traders started liking what they heard. So let's analyze the order flow here. The volume dots are showing market buy minus sell. Magenta volume dots indicate more sellers than buyers. Green volume dots indicate more buyers than sellers. Aggressive sellers on the way down just below the ES 5100 level. And then as traders started taking positive delta options positions, price reversed higher, makes a lower high, higher low, higher low, aggressive buyers come in. So right around these volatility triggers. Made a good entry point for long as the order flow again shifts from aggressive sellers to aggressive buyers. ES continues to make a series of higher lows. Next good entry point right around 5100. Let's zoom out. And then ES consolidated somewhere between 511 and 512. And that 512 is a combo one level combining SPX and SPY gamma weighted open interest into one level. They're converted to an equivalent SPY price and then converted to an equivalent ES price. All right, so nice long in the morning as Jerome Powell started speaking. Options traders, again, put buyers took their foot off the gas. They started buying calls and price moved higher as aggressive buyer stepped in. Notice CVD starts rising. briefly was negative, shown by the magenta line there, shifts positive, and then as price starts moving higher, buy stop orders help to fuel the move higher. That's shown by the rising yellow line. Also the on-chart indicator, these small green dots. And one interesting thing to note here, just about 11 a.m., CVD topped out and started moving lower. Maybe a pretty good indication of a pending reversal. All right, let's take a look at NASDAQ. Very similar chart pattern. I've already talked about the very clear support at the QQQ 437 volatility trigger. All right, let's go take a look and see what options traders are doing. And for the NASDAQ, I like to take a look at this signal. Again, that's the MAG 7 signal that I pointed out from yesterday, helping to initiate that move higher in the S&P 500 and NASDAQ. All right, so what this is another combined signal for the stocks known as the Magnificent Seven: Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, Nvidia, and Tesla. So this is showing options trades and market maker hedging activity for these 7 stocks, which make up a very large component of the NASDAQ 100 and also a large component of the S&P 500. All right, so that we know what that is now. Let's zoom back in on the chart. Orange line, again, showing calls. Rising orange line indicates traders are buying calls. Market makers are selling calls. And in the case of a stock, they have to buy stock to hedge their delta exposure. So initially from the open, they were buying calls. Take the foot off the gas.
Iceberg ESH for CME by 300.
Not much activity in puts. So basically shifts from slightly negative delta to slightly positive delta. Note for the day, notional value is positive for puts. They are selling puts and buying calls. Call buyers definitely driving price. Notional value 1.8 billion versus puts 124 million. All right, so right around 10 a.m. the key here is traders started buying calls in the MAG 7 stocks, and NASDAQ moves higher. Let's go to Bookmap. Again, the reversal at 437. Stop run on the way down. That's shown by the falling yellow line. Also aggressive sellers, shown by the CVD, the dark blue line. And note in the case of NASDAQ, there were some large traders buying that move down, fading the move with iceberg orders. Large traders again buying that move down. That's shown by the rising light blue line. Also the on-chart indicator showing buy iceberg orders. These are showing the individual events. Here in this case, since I'm zoomed out, this is showing a number of iceberg orders, buy iceberg orders aggregated into one icon there. All right, so again, aggressive buyers come in, shown by the green volume dots. Aggressive sellers on the way down. Then aggressive buyers come in, pull back entries, all the way up to the upper daily expected move and above, almost to QQQ 442, that round number level that we looked at on the QQQ chart. Looks like NQ actually touched that level. The QQQ chart was showing 441.99. All right, so good enough. All right, let's go back. So that was the long entry for NASDAQ, supported by large traders with iceberg orders, shift in cumulative volume delta. Also, buy stop orders fueled the move higher as traders were taking positive delta positions in the Mag 7 stocks. All right, let's take a look at a few stocks, and then we'll get to the live market. All right, so the first stock I wanted to take a look at today was Meta. We'll see what options traders were doing in Meta. This is very typical for Meta. Aggressive call buyers at the open. Note the flow alert that comes in just maybe 4 or 5 minutes after the cash open. Steeply rising orange line, call buyers, and they take the foot off the gas about 9:45 as Meta breaks above the 500 call wall. They start selling calls and Meta moves lower. So if you're fast, good for a long setup in the morning and then short setup around 9:45. Also note, as the call sellers take their foot off the gas and basically these lines flatten out, Meta consolidates. Very typical. Call buyers, sellers, put sellers, whatever's driving price, take the foot off the gas sometime mid-morning, and these stocks will consolidate after that. All right, so let's go back to Bookmap. And so there's the short as traders start selling calls. Then the break below the 500 call wall. So good for a short from right around 502 down to 495. The next is Microsoft. Let's see what options traders were doing. Going to Microsoft. So really watching Hero set up more of a long setup along with the NASDAQ. Hero drifting lower until about 10:15. Put buyers take their foot off the gas. They start selling puts, but they start buying calls. Driving price higher. Again, when traders buy calls, market makers sell the calls, and they have to buy stock to hedge their delta exposure. And Microsoft makes it all the way up to the 405 hedge wall as the call buyers take their foot off the gas. And that was actually around 12:15. Let's go take a look at the Bookmap. Remember, 405 hedge wall. Price reverses sharply right around 10:15 as traders start taking positive delta options positions. They were, again, buying calls. CVD starts moving higher. So good for a long from 399 or even 400 all the way up to 405 hedge wall, acting as resistance as call buyers take the foot off the gas. Next, let's take a look at NVIDIA. All right, so another bullish day in NVIDIA, nothing new here. Let's go see what options traders have been doing in NVIDIA. So note the put line, pretty flat. It is positive for the day, so traders are selling puts, but their call buyers are definitely driving price. Bullish from the open, flow alert, maybe a minute or two after the cash open. Traders buy calls, briefly take their foot off the gas, then they start buying calls again, and NVIDIA moves higher. Take the foot off the gas right around looks like maybe 125, something like that. One thing that's interesting to take a look at, first of all, remember 900 is the call wall now. So that's the next target on the way to 1,000. So let's compare the NVIDIA signal here to Mag 7. Very similar. Slightly rising put line. Call buying from the open. Pause, and then a move higher. NVIDIA driving Mag 7, driving NASDAQ. Call buyers foot off the gas right around 125. Back to NVIDIA, almost identical. All right, let's take a look at one other stock that I just added to my list here. This is Snowflake. It's been a very good short for the last few days. Very typical pattern again. In this case, call sellers from the open. Pretty early in the morning, they take their foot off the gas as Snowflake breaks below the 165 put wall. So let's go take a look at Bookmap. Call sellers from the open.
Iceberg ESH for CME sell 302.
Also aggressive sellers. Notice all the magenta volume dots. Falling cumulative volume delta. And as price breaks down below the 165 put wall, as price breaks below the 165 put wall, price starts to consolidate as traders call sellers take their foot off the gas. Note the cumulative volume delta flattens out at that point. All right, WRB, I know you want to take a look at Tesla. We'll go ahead and do that. So a lot of aggressive buyers in Tesla today. You can tell by the green volume dots as well as the rising cumulative volume delta, and at the low here at 174. A lot of aggressive buyers. Let me tone down the volume dots just a little bit. Let's take a quick look at what options traders are doing in Tesla. Selling calls, buying puts. Note 180 is the put wall. That's also the key gamma strike. And the right, when everything else turned around, they start selling puts and buying calls. And note when both the orange line and blue line are moving the same direction, that's a very powerful directional signal. So a powerful bearish directional signal and a powerful bullish directional signal. All right, let's take a look at All right, Slow to Razi asked about New York Community Bank. I really doubt it's in here. The last time I checked, it was they were talking about it on CNBC. It was trading less than $2. And you're welcome, WRB. All right, so New York Community Bank. Oh yeah, it is in here. So not much. I mean, why would you trade options when a stock is at starts the day around $3 or less, is now trading that low. All right, KRE, Regional Bank ETF. Let's just switch to the total signal. All right, so not a lot to see here. Total notion of value under 5 million, so negative. All right, does anyone else have any stocks they want me to take a look at? I'm going to go back. Let's take a look at Mag 7. So again, the Mag 7 signal, they've taken the foot off the gas. Price moving lower, making a series of lower highs. Let's take a look at S&P 500. All right, to me, this is not as clear. So it looks like the hero signal for the S&P 500 is starting to move higher. So let's go back to the S&P 500. All right, so WRB says for fun, demo trade. All right, so let me note yesterday I did show trading features in Bookmap. That was my intent. That was not the trade that I put on yesterday was not necessarily not an ideal trade. I just had 5 minutes, wanted to get something on, picked a direction based on Hero, which was trending down, and it worked out in my favor. That may not be the case today, so I'm going to zoom in a bit. And the point of this, again, I want to make sure everyone understands, is just to understand or just to demonstrate the trading features in Bookmap, how you can place trades in Bookmap. Not necessarily meant to be an actual trading entry, an ideal setup in any way. All right, so let me start by showing you how to get to the trade control panel. So I'm going to click on this lock here. That opens up the trade control panel. So the first thing that I'm going to do, now I have an account at Tradeovate. That's a futures brokerage. There's a connector. So I can trade in my trading platform in Trade-Evade or trade here on Bookmap, and the trades will appear on either platform. I can also select, this is the cross trading feature in Bookmap, and I can select whether I want to trade the full mini contract ES or the micro contract MES. So I'm going to show micro contract just to make sure this is accessible to everyone. Show how to trade the micro contract looking at the ES chart here. All right, so I like to trade from, let me start. So I have to start that. Then I can trade on the chart, on the dome, or both. I like to trade on the chart. So I'm just going to show on the chart. So when I click to the right of this line, I can place a trade. I can select the number of contracts. What I like to do is select half the number of contracts that I want to trade, and then I'll click twice. And then I have my bracket set up. This is just my default bracket to take profit at 12 ticks or 3 points and a stop loss at 8 ticks or 2 points. All right, so when I'm trading, I have 3 screens. I have Bookmap here in my middle. That's what I'm showing now. Then on my right screen, I have my trading platform, Trade-Evade trade platform. And then on the left screen, I have Bookmap. So I can watch all at the same time and make a trading decision. So what I'm doing is building a narrative. So right now I know that, let's take a look at, so I'm going to have to jump back and forth. And I'm going to jump back and forth between Hero and Bookmap. So as I pointed out before, it looked like Hero was rising. So that's bullish. Let's take a quick look at Mag 7. Now that's still flat, maybe rising a little bit. Let's go back to the S&P 500. All right, so that set up a good long right around the 50.95. That's called the hedge wall here. It's actually, for an index, it's the volatility trigger. Set up a good long there. Looks like the Hero signal may be flattening out a little bit. I'm going to zoom in quite a bit. Let's go back to Bookmap. So I know that cumulative volume delta is rising. And this move higher has also been fueled by stop orders. All right, on my left screen, I'm going to shift over to Hero, so I won't be able to see questions in YouTube. So I want to watch the Hero signal a little bit more closely. And I'm not going to be able to see your questions in Discord either. I'm going to shift over to my trading platform on my right screen. And by all that shifting around, I missed an entry point there for a short. So what I did is I double clicked. That was a double right click for a short. So I missed that. Alright, so I'm going to cancel that. Alright, so maybe that was just a pullback to the 5100 level, and I missed that again. Maybe I'll get it. Alright, so I'm doing this just to demonstrate the trading features in Bookmap. Alright, so let's zoom in on this. Normally what I would do is
order filled.
So I'm moving that take profit up to right around the 510 level. I'm going to move my stop order up to break even. Let's move this down just a little bit. All right, so that moved up pretty quickly, and I entered at 5109, took profit at 1175. Then I moved my second take profit up to
order filled.
That was at all right, 1325, just below the 510 absolute gamma strike. So that was actually just a pullback. Pullback, long entry. Aggressive sellers on the way down. Aggressive buyers start to come in. Very clear in Bookmap there. The shift in order flow. Shift in cumulative volume delta. Quick move down. Really just reading the volume dots is what was the key there. Also, this reversal just above the 5100 level. All right, let me get back to take a look for questions, comments. All right, so again, the purpose of what I did was just to demonstrate trading features in Bookmap. So again, to summarize, I clicked the lock to get to the trading control panel. I like to trade on the chart, so I pick chart. If you like to trade on the dome or both, you can pick that. And then I picked micros just to make this accessible to everyone. Again, I should have held a runner longer. I selected one contract using my bracket, and then I moved the second take profit up just below a level that I thought might act as resistance. And then once this first got filled on my first take profit, I moved my stop order up to break even. All right, let me take a look. All right, here's the trade for today in trade of 8. Again, note this was a demo account. And here are the two trades. First, and second. So the the first a little under 3 points, and the second a little bit over 4 points, for a total of 7 points. All right, so I'll post this in Discord in a few minutes. All right, I hope that helped everyone. And let's just take one last look at Hero. All right, so overall, Hero was continuing to move higher, and that was just a little pullback. And the key entry point there, if I was just sitting and trading, was the reversal higher at the 50.95 hedge wall volatility trigger. And at that point, cumulative volume delta started to rise. Sorry about that. At that point, cumulative volume delta started to rise. And also the move higher was fueled by buy stop orders shown by the rising yellow line, also the on chart indicators. So nice pullback to 5100 for a long entry. Again, should have held a runner longer. All right, my time is up. I want to thank everyone for watching. Thank you for your questions and comments. Remember, Jerome Powell is speaking again tomorrow, 10 a.m. He spoke, I think, for about over 2 hours today, but that traders definitely liked what they heard today, at least initially. All right, everyone, I will see you tomorrow. Thanks again. Bye.